The coupling of horror and video games has been around for years. There's a whole wealth of titles that range from actual horror all the way to action games with the occasional jump scare in them. But when that leaks out into the real world, well, that's when things get really weird. Urban legends, cursed video game cartridges, the government recording data from ominous, seizure-inducing arcade cabinets. Thanks to the internet, these once quiet rumours can now gain traction at an exponential rate. Are they true? Or are they just complete guff conjured by overactive imaginations? Thanks to sites like Creepypasta exacerbating fables and myths, it is hard to ascertain what is fact or fiction. But there is one thing for sure. The ones on this list are only the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole load of freaky tales surrounding video games. I am the possessed hologram, Ash from WhatCulture Gaming, and these are 9 genuinely haunted video games you won't believe. Or rather, 9 genuine urban legends at least, but dramatizing these stories is half the fun. Play along. 9. Super Mario Galaxy 2. Shadow People of SHIVERBURN Galaxy. Haunting in a Mario game? How absurd a notion. But yes, strange as it sounds, I'm kicking this list off with a creepy theory that has been looming in the background of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Dubbed the Shadow People of Hell Valley, these creeping beings are hidden away in the SHIVERBURN Galaxy, watching down on Mario from afar. Who are these mysterious watchers? Do they mean our plumber harm, or are they part of a higher plan? Whatever the reason, these creepy silhouettes are very disturbing, if you know where to look. What makes it weirder is that the file name for these beings is named Hell Valley Skytree, which raises some odd questions. Are they a cut enemy, or from a cut level, or both? If so, why would they cut? Or is it a fragment of a deleted piece of code that refused to go? Quite literally haunting the levels of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Alright, that might be a bit dramatic, but as no one's ever come to a reasonable conclusion, speculation is all we have to go on. That, and they look pretty freaky as it is. 8. Taboo the Sixth Sense. Fatally accurate predictions. Clearly, someone at Rare didn't think about messing with the powers that be when they made this lovely little gem in 1989. Didn't see this one crop up in the Rare Replay section, did we? That's because the story/urban legend that surrounds the game is a lot more sinister than having to play Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. As far as I'm aware, the only thing Nuts and Bolts killed was the franchise, whereas Taboo allegedly predicted the deaths of several of its players with eerily accurate readings. Now, you could skeptically put this down to unfortunate coincidence. How is an NES game capable of predicting something this catastrophic? But then, much like its real-life counterpart, what's to say that these aren't true? Personally, even though I love the strange stuff, I wouldn't mess with the occult, real or digital, so if someone is telling me that Spooky Solitaire is going to predict my death, then I'm out. Tarot is all well and good until it's haunted by a murderous ghost or possessed by some otherworldly, omniscient being. Believing it to be true or not doesn't matter, it's whether you want to find out. Not worth it, friends and enemies, not worth it. 7. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Ben. I feel I should be telling this one around a campfire at night, that's how urban legendy it is. But use your imagination and I'll do my best. The legend goes that a college student chanced upon a delabeled N64 cartridge with Majora written on it from a garage sale table. The kind manned by a character that would sell you a Mogwai too, just for authentic weirdness. So, a hapless gamer boots up the game, notices a save file named Ben, and rightfully deletes it. After all, why would you keep someone else's save? It turns out that this was a mistake, as the save belonged to an 8-year-old boy named Ben who had drowned some time prior. Deleting the save is only the beginning. The tale is huge, but the abridged version is that Ben haunts the cartridge, with mysterious messages cropping up and other shenanigans. It then transfers into real life via the Cleverbot automated chat app, and just look, it's all a bit weird, but it is convincing enough. Second-hand stores never looked so terrifying. 6. Pale Luna, a murderous smile. Text-based adventure games can sometimes lead you to terrible fates, like not being able to get a babelfish or, at worst, dying of dysentery. Usually, they don't end up with the real-world discovery of a severed head in an unmarked grave though. Or at least, that is what the text-based Pale Luna would have you believe. The legend goes that Pale Luna was a text-based game that was circulated around the San Francisco Bay Area. It was only when a player named Michael Nevins finally cracked the game did it take a sinister turn. Through what one could only imagine as rigorous trial and error, Michael persevered for a good 3 hours, trying every possible combination of words to get somewhere. And somewhere, he got. Pale Luna revealed some coordinates to Lassen Volcanic Park in California, to which Michael did travel. Armed with morbid curiosity and a shovel, Michael set about digging, only to find the aforementioned head. And you lot complained about getting a poop for those Korok seeds. 5. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Killer mod. Modding, especially in the Elder Scrolls games, has been a massive part of the community for the longest time. Thomas the Tank Engine, Macho Man Randy Savage, and just about any and everything you can think of is somewhere in there. However, there are always some that take it that step too far. The story behind JVK1166Z.ESP, a mod for Morrowind, is that on installation it would drive players insane and corrupt their save files. I mean, having my save corrupted would push me over the edge too, but it does get weirder. Once it's up and running, JVK1166Z.ESP would kill all main characters in the game, which would be annoying, but not nearly as much as your health dropping if you stood motionless. If you allow this to kill you, it gets weirder still. Once back in the game, a new spider-like character supposedly appears, lurking about your screen. NPCs start acting weird, and a new dungeon appears called the Hall of Portraits. What is creepy about this? Well, these portraits are all pictures from your computer's own gallery, which is slightly unnerving. The legend goes that players who played with this mod went insane over time. But if they went insane, how would we get these stories? Black magic, truly. 4. Pokemon Red/Blue. Lavender Town Syndrome. It was bad enough when a Pokemon episode about Porygon reportedly gave hundreds of kids seizures, though the show had never been responsible for any suicides. But what about the games? Surely the games that have inspired joy and sold millions in equal amounts wouldn't drive anyone to kill themselves, would they? The story goes that upon the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan back in 1996, everything was fine until players hit Lavender Town. Supposedly the music was of such a frequency that it was driving kids aged 7 to 12 to commit suicide in droves. A bit like those anti-delinquent frequencies that they put outside supermarkets, but, you know, worse. The curious similarity is that all the deaths were allegedly by height or hanging, or if not suicidal, children were reportedly having severe headaches. To possibly give some legitimacy, the music has since been changed to something a bit more accessible. Is that culpability or covering up something more sinister? You be the judge. 3. Berserk. Get a high score, lose a life. The great thing about the 80s seems to be that you can make up any old urban legend, as there was no quick, let me check on my phone to debunk it immediately. But of course, there is no smoke without fire, and there has to be some grounded evidence of foul play in these stories, or so they go. Berserk, released in 1980, is regarded as one of the best examples of top-down shooters of its time, inspiring the likes of Smash TV and such. The simple concept of shooting lots of robots proved popular at the time, with many trying to achieve the coveted top score. So far, so normal. That is, until a 19-year-old died of a heart attack whilst playing Berserk 1 year after its release, with a high score of 16,660. Weird, no? Yet even weirder, an 18-year-old lad died the same way the following year, after also reaching high scores on the game. Some say coincidence, some say it's a curse of the game's invincible bad guy, Evil Otto, cursing the players who dare to try and trump him. 2. Minecraft. HEROBRINE. Next to old Slendy, HEROBRINE is arguably the highest profile of creepy urban legend floating around. Not that it's a competition. Slender Man may have come first, but HEROBRINE has definitely hit a more engaged audience, given the popularity of the Minecraft franchise. So who is this mysterious, weird-looking Steve clone with no pupils? Depending on what you read, it's the brother of Minecraft's creator, or it's a ghost, or it's the remnants of a disgruntled employee getting revenge for being fired. Who knows? But what is known is just how creepy something can appear in a game that is mostly aimed at kids, if he appeared at all. Again, there has never been any real confirmation as to whether HEROBRINE is real. Various stories have come about the mysterious entity and his path of fairly neat destruction before disappearing. Sure, the developers have made jokes about it, but is that just a cover-up for something far more sinister? The curse of HEROBRINE lives on. 1. POLYBIUS. Government mind control. The oldest legend on this list, POLYBIUS is a story from back in the 80s, and it involves a whole bunch of awesome cliches to bolster the supposed myth. Men in black, psychoactive reactions, secret government research, you name it. The story goes that a few POLYBIUS game cabinets appeared in a few arcades in Portland, Oregon in the early 80s. The game proved to be popular to the point of addiction, with long queues forming to play the mysterious new game. Tales soon began of seizures, hallucinations, night terrors, and amnesia. But the weirdest part wasn't what the game was causing to people, but the covert men in black collecting data from the machine each night. And then, a month later, all the cabinets have mysteriously vanished. Snopes have gone on to debunk this urban legend, but that's what the Tin Hat Brigade will tell you that they want you to think. Were the government behind some mind control, data collection shenanigans, or did POLYBIUS ever exist in the first place? More importantly, how much would you get for one of those cabinets on eBay? And that's our list. Which of these genuine, wanted video games most scared you? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Ash over on Twitter @AshMillman, and this has been WhatCulture Gaming. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back again soon for some more conspiracy content. Thanks for watching.